Hello and welcome to another World of Warplanes video with me, Sir 10 Death. Today we're taking a look at another premium plane and asking the question, is it worth the gold? This time we're looking at this one. It's the Curtiss P-40 M-105 Tier 5 Russian multi-role fighter. As you probably guessed, it basically is an American P-40 fitted out with a Russian engine to make it slightly different. And as ever, we'll be looking at some gameplay featuring this aircraft and talking about what it does well, what it doesn't do so well, and whether ultimately it's worth investing or not. Also, I don't want to give away a spoiler here, but this is a very interesting game and it's worth watching to the end to see what actually happens at the end of this game. Something a little bit unusual, but I'm not going to spoil that for you. So, I've got my pretty paint job on as normal. I've bunged in my the best pilot I have trained at the minute, who has two decent skills on it, and I think he actually earns his third one in this game. And we're going to head off here and just go to work. As you've probably seen in some of my previous videos, what I tend to do with multi-roles is typically play them almost as out-and-out fighters, and I don't use my ground, in this case rockets, unless there happens to be a target that presents itself. I don't go looking for the ground targets, I tend to go looking for the air targets first. I think I only use the rockets once in this entire game, but if you happen to be passing a ground target and it's available, I could have probably used them right here straight away, but I wanted to engage these defensive planes. Anyway, let's talk about the aircraft. So, it's a premium aircraft. It costs 1,500 gold, or in money from the premium shop, that equates to £6.29 in the UK, which is around about 80 euros or $8. And you're probably wondering, is it worth it? Well, let's have a look. It's got 250 hit points, which at tier 5 is okay. That's alright, that's not too bad. It's on paper, manoeuvrability rating is 63, which for a multi-role is fairly normal and unsurprising, because I believe that's the exact same sort of rating as the American P-40 fighter anyway. It's got a turn time of 10.8 seconds, which again is okay. I was a little bit surprised when I read that stat, because this feels, when you play it, like it turns quite sluggishly. And you'll see examples of this when I get into some dogfights here. It just feels to me like it doesn't turn as nippily as some other fighters, but maybe that's all in the mind. It felt to me more like it has about a 12-second 360-degree turn. You just look here, when I get the turn after this aircraft, it feels like it turns very slowly. There we go, slow turning. But on paper, according to Wargaming, its turn is 10.8 seconds. I'll take their word for that. It has an optimum altitude rating of about 900 meters. I'm playing just below that at the moment, but that's where it performs particularly well. And speed-wise, it's actually not too bad. It has a standard speed when not boosting of around 380 kilometers per hour, which is quite quick. And when you boost it, it'll push that to over 500. As normal, it has I think 8-second boost. Multi-roles tend to have a little bit better than fighters do. And yeah, so that's the talking about the plane in a nutshell then. Except for one thing we haven't mentioned yet, of course, its guns. It has the exact same guns that are on the American P-40, which I did a review of quite recently, and I absolutely love that plane. I'll put a link to that in the video right now. And the P-40 is a tech tree American fighter, tier 5, and it's a lovely plane. I love everything about it. In fact, I probably think it's one of my most favourite planes in the game at present. So this basically is that aircraft with a different engine and kitted out so it can actually also do a little bit of work on the ground. I'm just flying here over the repair base so I can get myself fixed up before I go off into this next area. So far I haven't had a particularly stunning game. I've done alright. I mean, I didn't take a lot of damage. I've helped out here and there, but I haven't exactly set the world on fire. So I mentioned those guns then. Yes, it's the same as the P-40. It's got 6 12.7 wing mounted guns, which are really quite nice because they put quite a lot of damage out quite quickly, and they don't overheat very easily, so you can really keep your finger on the trigger while you lock people down into your sights and go to work on them. In terms of outboard ordnance, this carries, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's got 4 rockets. Those rockets are ground rockets, so they're not really designed. This is the one time that I do actually use them here. I throw 2 of them down here and then I throw the other 2 down, try and finish off that. I don't do very much. I've only just passed 1,000 combat points, and this is I would say a pretty poor score at this point in the game, but stick with it because you'll see how this pans out later on. That's the one and only time I believe I use the rockets in this game. But they help. When you happen to be passing a ground target your team is trying to cap, you may as well throw them down there. I decided here to test out the stall rating of this as well, because I'm going pretty quick at the minute, and I'm going up because all the enemies are above us. So I'm heading up and I'm trying to boost where I can, and you can see my speed's dropping down to 270-ish, and I'm still trying to engage, trying to get to this guy above me. Now it's dropping down very much quickly, below 200, 170, so he's got a stall rating of about 140, and I allow the plane to stall just to actually test that out. It wasn't an accident, it was deliberately trying out to see what happens when I allow it to stall. About 140 kilometers when in a vertical climb it will stall. I mentioned those rockets then being 4 ground rockets. They do about 450 damage each, which is not startling. If you can get all 4 on target in the same place, of course that equates to 1800 damage, which can take out a light sort of ground target quite easily. But other than that, you're not going to do your whole amount to the ground. I wouldn't recommend necessarily trying to use them against planes unless somebody happens to be coming right in front of you, or you get right on the tail of somebody. It'll be quite hard to do because they're quite slow moving, those rockets. So, what can we compare this to? Well, there's not a lot you can compare it to really, because, well, there's quite a few tier 5 multi-roles, but in terms of premium planes, if you're looking for a premium multi-role, you only have this or 2 other options, and one of those isn't readily available. There is another Russian one, the Lag 3 Series 34, but that's a special plane. It does not go on sale very often. In fact, I can't remember it's been on sale anytime recently. And there is the British Huracan 2D, which I did a review of 2 or 3 months ago, and frankly speaking I wasn't too impressed with. I will put a link to that in this video right now as well. I am going to re-review that one though, because since I've got to grips with how to play the Huracan 2 Tech Tree plane, I suspect I might have been a little bit harsh with my judgment on the Huracan 2D, and I am going to go back to it and test it out again at some point in the near future. So I've got this to start to work a bit now, this game. I've passed the 5,000, almost, there we go, 6,000 combat points, and I'm just now helping us to retain this area. We've got 3 of the areas capped, and the enemy have got 2. As long as we keep 3-2, we will win the game. And as I said at the beginning of the video, this is a very interesting game right at the end for a reason which will probably surprise quite a few viewers, and I do want you to bear with me and watch what happens towards the end of this game. So I'm just now seeing that this ground attack aircraft, I just polished him off a couple of minutes ago, and he's coming back in again, so I just dropped in behind him, and I'll be pressing my air brake now, slowing myself down as much as I can so I can sit behind him on his tail, even dropping the flaps down to slow myself down even more. Great strategy for getting behind attack aircraft is to slow yourself down. You've just got to watch you don't slow yourself down to the point where you hit your stall speed and fall out of the sky. Stating the obvious, I know, but you'd be surprised. Guardian Award there for taking somebody off the tail of one of my comrades. And yeah, it's all looking pretty good this game now. That heavy fighter was keen on me, but I managed to get out of the way of most of his shots. Just got a little tickle from him. I can get behind him and get a few shots on him before he gets out of my range too much. And I'm just doing what I normally do when I play fighters. I know this is not an out-and-out fighter, but I just go from target to target, looking for people like this one here. He's on less than half of his hit points, but he's obviously got his beady eye on me as well, because we're now currently in a dogfighting contest, which is why I've just tapped the F7 key, because I kind of wouldn't mind somebody trying to help me out of this pickle, because he's probably going to outturn me. He's in a fighter and I'm in a multi-role. But I managed to get around so I can maybe get him on my sights now. Just a bit of jinking back and forth. There we go. I've got him now. A few shots on him, and now I can get him back. It's like, yeah, I can get him again in the sights, and this time I can go to work and take him down. But unfortunately, in doing so, I've got myself set on fire. I've hit my fire extinguisher. I'm losing control of the plane. I was actually weaving and bobbing like wildfire here. I was pressing the, I was rolling on my keyboard to try and stay away from this because I'm so near to death. And I'm struggling to stay in this game, but I've managed to get away from this heavy fighter just for a moment or two, trying to go around and get some shots onto him, but my time in this game is very much numbered. There we go. I can certainly soften him up a bit. I passed the 10,000 combat points mark, so I'm pleased with that. I tend to find if I get games where I pass 10,000, I'm quite happy with that. And right at the moment I hit the grade 4 fighter, I get popped out of the air by a Huracan. And I look at the scores, I think I've done alright here. I'm on 11,000 combat points, but then I realise we've lost half of our team. They've now capped 3 of the areas, so they're now receiving 9 points to our 6 every few seconds. And yeah, this is not looking good. And there we've just lost somebody else. We've only got 5 players left alive, and they've got quite a few more, and they're capping. And I'm absolutely thinking this game, which has felt like such a good game, is going away from us. Now remember I said at the beginning of the video that this was an interesting game at the end. That's normally at this point I cut to the end of the video and just show you the end plates, but I'm just showing you what happens in this video now, because it's something that I don't think happens that often. And so I'm following here the guy that I'm kind of pinning my hopes on to maybe save us. He's having a decent game himself, this chap, and he's just knocked somebody out of the sky, and he's doing all right. But we're still, we've got 5 left, they've got 7 left. This could go either way, but they are gaining more points than us all the time. They've almost caught us now. We've just managed to cap the middle area again, which is going to help. That means we're getting the 9 and they're getting... We've only got 3 left, and so I've just typed into chat. I'm typing in right now, only 3 people left stay alive. Because if they kill all of us, they automatically win. And by the time I've typed that, there are 2 left. And I'm a bit worried now, thinking, oh, well, we're on 741 cap points. We're going to lose this game at the last minute. And I look at who we've got left here. And we've got we've got a player, and he's just gone. And what we've got left on our team is the bot in a bomber who's done basically nothing all game, because bots in bombers don't. They just fly around looking at the scenery. And there he is. I'm tracking him, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, unfortunately, we're going to lose this at the bitter end, because this bomber here, he is actually, fortunately, up there at 2,000 meters. But look at that, he's taken so much damage. He's got hardly any hit points left, and look at his health's going down. It's going down. He's taking some damage, and I said it was a surprise. The bot won the game for us. Now, how often do you say those words? The more often than not, you're saying the bot lost the game for us. But nope, this time the bot won us the game. There you go. You've witnessed it for yourself. How did this pan out then? Well, it pulled in for me just under 160,000 credits, which is pretty good at tier 5. I'm pleased with that. I got a standard set of awards, finished first in the team overall. I was pretty pleased. I got another point there for my pilot as well. So 12,000 or so combat points. Hats off to this guy in the Spitfire. He passed 14,000 combat points and was unlucky not to win. Would I recommend this? Is it worth the money? Well, if you're in the running for a multi-role fighter at tier 5, I'd say yes. If you want a fighter, there are a lot of other options, and there's a lot of videos I've done about those. But if you want a multi-role, you've only got this or the Huracan 2D, and I would certainly pin my colours onto the mast of this plane. It's better, in my opinion, than the Huracan 2D anyway. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers now. Goodbye.